Welcome to Co-Pathway number 2. This is my second attempt at this double feature. This video will have two topics. One will be about being mixed and the shit that I did on TikTok is basically what it is. So I should probably just title it the double feature from TikTok. Alright, so I made 5 of these videos and it's called, we're not going to play the shit, but it's called This is for Mixed People. This is an educational moment for non-mixed people, part 1. Alright? So, I made 5 parts. So this is where I don't have to worry about being censored by TikTok because YouTube is a little bit more free on our freedom of speech. I dug in deep in this. I insulted some people from the ninth ether beings, these magical godly creatures from TikTok. You know, the people who believe that the earth is upside down and that Egypt is in America and that they're ninth ether beings. They have 12 toes and they dig them really deep in the sand. And they believe that they are gods. We'll get into that. So, first and foremost, we say, and you guys can find this here on one of these videos. As a mixed person, I don't have the right to be a racist. I am very racist to racist people. Now I know that sounds like an onomatopoeia or what they call it, a facsimile, or is it called an asinine statement? There's a lot of things it can be called. Let's start it with the truth. As a mixed person, and I state this in the videos, all 5 of them, at least 3 of them. 1. I am part black, I am part native, I am part white. I am part white, I am part black, I am part native. I am part native, I am part black, I am part white. And no matter how we slice it, that's never going to change. I talked about how in some cases I'm accepted and in some cases I am not. I talked about how racism has played an important part in my life and how I have been the victim of racism. In the video, I brought up TV shows like Sanford and Son, What's Happening, Good Times, and The Jeffersons and Archie Bunker and Benson. And each one of these shows have had some impact in my life with racial stuff. In Sanford and Son, there was a Mexican actor. I do not know his name, but the character was either Juan or Carlos, and he had a pet goat. I talked about that. In the Jeffersons and Archie Bunker, the N word and the H word was used, and zebra was used. And I talked about how the kids in school called me those things because I was mixed. I also talked about how I've had worse treatment from black people as a mixed person than I've had from white people or native people. I've had 2 bad native incidences, and I've had a few on TikTok. But most of my bad native incidences was only 2. And the few on TikTok, I don't know if you can really count them because it's just basically internet bullying. And I pretty much don't give those guys any fucks. Now, as far as in real life, I've had a lot of bullying from black people versus white people versus Mexicans. Mexicans have actually never bullied me. Asians have never really bullied me except for way back in grade school when me and the guy got to arguing over rice cakes. Kind of find out he was from Vietnam and not Chinese. So that was kind of on me. And there's a video about that somewhere around here. I mean, there's like 1,000 more videos here, so God help you if you can find it. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, on TikTok, there has been a group of black people. Y'all know who the fuck you are. And you're probably on YouTube too. I'm not going to find you. I'm not going to look for you. But they have made my reconnecting journey to my native side a bit stressful and touchy. There is a native community in Charles City in which my great-grandmother came from, which I have been talking to and trying to get money together so I can go down there, etc., etc. And no, I'm not going to start a GoFundMe or any of that shit. I don't need that. I mean, it's only like maybe 2.5 hour drive, and I have a Honda, so I'm pretty good on gas. I just got to figure out when, and it has to be done on a Monday so that I can go down and come right the fuck back. Or if not, then I can like see if I can spend the night at the church or something, and then get up bright and early on a Tuesday and drive the fuck back home. Anyway, so I mentioned on here all the racist shit that I've gone through. I mentioned about applying for a job at a store with a lady from England who was black, who, when she saw me write down black, asked me if I was sure. I mentioned how in college the Spanish teacher thought I was Mexican, and I had to give her a hard lesson on that because it was before I remembered that Mexicans are also Native Americans. I mentioned how Mexicans thought I was Mexican when they bumped into the back of my car. I'm just giving you guys the cliff notes of everything I said on the TikTok. I mentioned how most of my racism came from black people and a few from white people. I can count on my hands how many incidents from white people where I had to count on my fingers and toes for how many people that were black, they wouldn't stop being racist towards me because I know I'm never going to be Native enough, I'm never going to be black enough, I'm never going to be white. Like, in no means necessary am I ever going to be white. No offense to anybody who's following me that's white. This is not personal. It's just that I know I'm never going to be white. Y'all can look me dead in the face and say, yeah, he's never going to be white. You know, and really the only bad things that white people have really said to me was, besides being called a zebra and a half-breed, was Chief. When the guy called me Chief for 3 years. Again, I mentioned all this shit in those 5 videos. So that's an issue that became a bit of a problem. And I brought this up because also the Ninth Ether Beings are talking this bullshit about how they are the Star People, how they're the Anunnaki, how they are the Anishinaabe, how they are gods, yet they still haven't showed up in my backyard to open my challenge so that I can test my axe skills. Yes, I have an axe. I sleep with it under my bed. It's in grabbing distance so that if I have to cut somebody the fuck up, I have 2 of them actually under my bed. And then I also have a big ass freaking Gerber knife, and I have a bow and arrow. My bow is over there, my arrow's over there. And I have some lightsabers. They don't really cut people in half like on the TV shows or the movies, but they still are pretty nice to have. Anyway, moving on. The other hardcore thing is that, I don't believe that anybody is above racism. I do believe that white people can experience racism. I also mentioned that yes, white people can experience racism from blacks and from other people. And I said I know people in my family who are white that have experienced racism from black people because they married into black families. And they have experienced racism from white people because they married into black families. So yes, they can experience racism. Because racism, regardless of that new definition, the true definition is if you hate somebody because of the sole point of the fact of their race, that makes you a racist. It's not prejudice. There's a thin line and there's no line. For me, there is no line. There's no difference between being racist and being prejudiced. If you hate somebody because of the color of their skin, you're a fucking racist. Point blank, period. There's no ifs, no ands, no buts about it. And I also made this clear. When I wake up, I'm mixed. When I go to bed, I'm mixed. When I go apply for a job, I'm mixed. And yes, even though I am mixed and my driver's license says that I am black, I put down black. I do not deny my heritages. None of them. I know I'm never going to be white. I know that we have white in us. But, again, by skin tone alone, they can tell I'm not white. Alright? I have 2 siblings who can white pass. They look like a white man and a white woman with a tan. And if I had their skin tone, I'd be doing that too. I have a couple of nephews. They can white pass. My mom definitely can white pass. I also mentioned that I lost her in a crowd of people in Scottsville at 42. I also lost her in a CVS when she was standing between a tall white man and a moderately tall Asian woman. And she looked like another white person. And I'm running around the store with my head in a swivel trying to find her because I can't find her. So I bring all that shit up. And like I said, when it comes to racism, the only people who really haven't been racist to me have been Asian people and Mexican people. No. And that's the thing. My two native experiences were bad in real life. I simply didn't deal with that properly. However, I deal with it the way most 20-year-old people who like to fight will deal with it, because you can't fight someone who can't stand up and defend themselves. I threatened to roll Jan Brady, which was the middle brother. No, excuse me. It was Mike Brady. Nah, he was Jan Brady because he started it. I attempted, I spoke prosperously and told Jan Brady that I would roll him into a fucking oak tree. There's a parking garage there now because this is the Jefferson School. And then I told Mike Brady, or Cindy Brady, although they should have been in reverse, that I would roll him into oncoming traffic. Is that the right thing to do? No. But it was the only thing I had because neither one of them could get up and fight. They were both paraplegic, and there would be no honor in me fighting two men who can't stand up and fight back. Over their niece, who I had a big crush on, and they didn't want me anywhere near their niece because they both looked me dead in the face and literally told me, we don't want no unpure natives messing with our niece. And I would like to say that their niece actually liked me, but I can't speak for her. I can only speak for me. I'm going to bring some light up here, guys, so that I look a little bit better, at least for myself. So, I brought all that shit up in the video. And I brought up the fact that these aboriginals, these Afrocentrics, these wannabe Native Americans that are claiming that black people are the original Native Americans and the slave trade worked in reverse. I'm watching scary stuff. Anyway, they excuse me, they're not making it easy for people like me who are trying to reconnect with our native side. I don't really need to reconnect with my African side. I had maybe one or two bad experiences from Africans who said that if I ever went to Africa, I would be unalived as soon as I got off the plane because they don't like mixed people. And I've had a couple of other Africans just say that that wasn't exactly true. And then I've had 3 or 4 African friends that I had worked with, and they were like, yo, you're always going to find prejudice when you're mixed because there's always going to be someone who doesn't like the fact that you are 2 different races. I said, well, they're just off the marker because I'm actually 3 different races. And I was like, yeah, well, you're going to have to, you're going to deal with that all your life. I was like, yeah, I know. But, most people don't have to be that open about it. And those 2 people who were open about it, they worked in the media center at the university, and they literally told me to my face, the only reason we're helping you is because we like Bruce. We don't really like black people. But more importantly, we don't like mixed people at all. Now, one of the Africans that did like me, he told them, hey, yo, y'all need to back up off him. He can't help how he was born. And no black person in America can help the fact that their ancestors were slaves. And this is a big war that's also on TikTok about how a lot of black people are saying they are the original natives and they were here first and that the slave trade worked in reverse. Now, we know that is bullshit because if that was the case, they would have had to wipe out half of America for all the double-sized people of Africa. Because there's way more Africans than black people. There's literally just way more Africans than black people. There's no escaping that fact. Africa is a country and a continent, but there are way more people who look slightly like me but different than there are here. And these people just don't want to acknowledge their blackness. They literally don't want to acknowledge their blackness, like, at all. They refuse to acknowledge that they have any blackness, any African, anything. It's like, no, we're not African, we're not African. Where, as a child, in all my mixedness, I had to prove that I was black enough for black people. Still gotta do that to this day sometimes, because as a mixed person, I will be dealing with racism all my life. If I have children, they will be mixed. They will be dealing with racism all their life. But luckily for me, I will be able to prepare them for this shit. So that way they won't have to go through the fuckery of dealing with people's prejudice and racism. You know, but it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and they're gonna have to deal with it just like I had to deal with it. The difference is, I'm not gonna tell my kid not to hit somebody in the mouth. I'm just gonna say, just don't get caught doing it. You know, try not to break their teeth, and make sure that if you hit them, you knock them, slam the fuck out. So go for the throat. Anyway, don't try to kill them, but hit them hard enough to know not to fuck with you anymore. Solar plexus, solar plexus. No. But I went through a lot of shit in those 5 videos and talking, and I offended a lot of people. And like I said, I've had bumped into some natives on the internet that straight told me, yo, you're not native, you're not one of us. And that's fine. That's their opinion, and they can keep it. And one of them still watching my video, so I don't know what their problem is. I'm not going to respond to them. If you're going to watch it, you're going to watch it. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to fucking sit here and be like, oh, well, he's a native, but he doesn't like me, and he still watches my shit. So, it is what it is, And he's the main one saying, you're not native, you're not native, you're not native. Okay, well, if I'm not native, why the fuck are you on my page? But for a person who's not native, I sure do a lot of things defending natives. I preach about the Navajo losing their rights. 2 months ago, the Navajos lost their water rights in Arizona. This asshole that says I'm not native don't have nothing about that shit on his page, but he's actually a native. He's a full-blooded native. A lot of other natives that I follow are native rights activists. I don't know who that guy follows. Don't give a fuck. But I know I'm not full native. I know my voice doesn't carry weight. I know no one can care 2 shits if I live or die in the native community. But I know what's right and what's wrong. And I know that I will stand with my natives, whether they accept me or not. I am part native. And I'm not talking about Aboriginal motherfuckers. And we're going to talk about that before I end this video. We're going to talk about these Aboriginal motherfuckers. They keep thinking the slave trade worked in reverse. Either my infantry math test was off, and I'm secretly a genius, or all of these Aboriginals are dumb as a fucking box of rocks. We're going to go with their being dumb as a box of rocks, because I was still stupid enough that I wound up getting infantry. But they're saying that the slave trade worked in reverse. For every 5 people who are black, there's like damn near 110 living in Africa who are actually native to Africa. Now granted, yay, so you don't want to be the descendant of a slave. I got you. I feel you 1000% there. But I'm not saying I'm not one, because I'm pretty sure there's probably been some slavery in my family somewhere. No, I'm not going to sit there and deny it and say, well, I don't come from slaves. I'm pretty sure we come from slaves. I'm pretty fucking sure. And if we don't come from slaves, I'm pretty sure we came from indentured servants. Wherever the whiteness comes from, I'm pretty sure there was probably both. It is what it is. But, I don't go around, like, starting shit. But I want these guys off my FYP. I don't want these guys who think they're Anishinaabe, or Anunnaki, or Star People, or 90 beings, or gods. I'm tired of getting on this app and seeing these fuckers on TikTok. Everywhere I fucking go. Yet, they talk about, well, we got 4C hair. What the fuck that is, but I'm working on it. And they're talking about well, you guys aren't the real natives, you aren't the real natives. And my question for them is, how did y'all lose to us if we're not the real natives? How the fuck did y'all lose? So not only did you lose to natives from Siberia, but you lost to colonists too. So how the fuck did that happen if you're supposed to be all over? And now, funny thing, and I'm going to say this with my full chest. They dance around in turkey feathers, but they don't know what the fuck a tomahawk is. They dance around in turkey feathers. They make fun of residential schools. Yeah, they don't talk about their folklore. They don't know how to shoot a bow and arrow. None of them shoot bow and arrows, but yet they have headdresses that they did not earn. You know, and maybe someone might earn. I don't really know. I don't know them personally. I don't have any personal beef with them. But again, I send warnings, not invitations. So if anyone shows up at my house, I will not be held responsible for what the fuck I do to you. You had no business coming here. You were not invited. And I won't be taking, I'm sorry, when I'm beating the fuck out of you and you're laying over the bricks. No one said, hey, come and deal with Echo Fang Grey Wolf. I send warnings, not invitations. Pure and simple. I'm not inviting you here. If I invite you here, I'm inviting you here to end you. Because I'm 50 years old as of this Wednesday. I don't have time to fuck with you on the level that you want to fuck with. But if you want to rumble, again, I send warnings, not invitations, and I will not be held responsible for ending your shit. Also, I hope to put that little degree in police science or criminal justice to get used as a self-defense plan. Because, you know, there's a fuck ton of videos here showing the world that I can do martial arts. So, technically, if you come across the city, or you come across the country, or you come across the state looking for an ass whooping, and I give you what you asked for, I'm not at fault. Because clearly, in every one of my videos about fighting, I generally give people warnings. And I generally say, I send warnings, not invitations. Right? There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I'm not looking for fights. But if you bring your fight to me, you're not going home. At least not in one piece. And even if you get lucky and whoop my ass, you're still not going home. You understand that? Because I'm going to hurt you bad enough that even if you beat my ass, you're going to remember who the fuck I am. And that I mentioned you're not going home. Because I'm not fighting to beat you. I'm unaliving your shit. Because I don't have to beat you to kill you. And with this shit I know, I can kill you by accident without even trying. Therefore. So now we're going to get to the juicy part about this video. Being mixed. This part's all about being mixed. As a mixed person, I go to bed mixed. I wake up mixed. I walk through society mixed. I know that there's going to be people who aren't going to accept me. Probably these 93 beings, these Anunnaki, the Ishnabi, and these fucking gods. No. But when they get off a line, when they get off the internet, they can be black and not have a problem being black. But there are aboriginals while they're on TikTok. They're ninth ether beings while they're on TikTok. They're Moors and Hebrew Israelites while they're on TikTok. But when they're off of TikTok, when they're living in the real world, they aren't me. They aren't the mixed kid that has to walk around and try to figure out how to negotiate getting along with people, because the second their race comes up, all eyes are on you. And see, if you're not mixed, you don't know how that feels when you walk into a room and you stand out. You literally stand out. No one else stands out. You stand out. Why do you stand out? Oh, because you're mixed. You stand all the way the fuck out. You don't just stand out. You stand all the way the fuck out. But you're mixed. So of course you're going to stand all the way the fuck out. That's just by design. No. But a lot of people don't understand how that works. Because a lot of people aren't mixed. Or they're like me, they're generationally mixed, but they don't have mixed features. I'm generationally mixed. I have mixed features. As I said in the beginning, I am black, I am white, I am native. I am white, I am black, I am native. I am native, I am black, I am white. And it also depends on who's at the door when they see me. I have been mistaken for Mexican. I have been mistaken for Filipino. I have been mistaken for Samoan. I am not those. But I can play them on TV. Now, if y'all want to give me a job. I mentioned that there was no mixed superheroes. Until Miguel O'Hara came out, there was no mixed Spider-Man. And then Miles Morales came out. I did leave a fuck you, it's Miguel versus Miles for me. But I also like Ben. But he's a clone, so he doesn't really count. But as far as a mixed person, Miles was the second mixed person. Miguel was the first mixed person. And people just didn't like Miguel because, let's be honest, he's a bit of an asshole. But it's my asshole. Anyway, I'm going to close this out with this. You're going to deal with a lot of things in life as a mixed person. The most thing you are going to deal with is racism. And you're going to have to accept it, and you have to deal with it, and you have to power through it. I left off one thing, and I'm going to touch on that before I end this video. As a mixed person, I didn't have many superheroes growing up, and we had hardly any Native American superheroes outside of comic books. So on TV, I had John Blackstar, I had Marshall Bravestar, I had John Thunder, I had Spirit from G.I. Joe. I'm pretty sure, oh yeah, Apache Chief. That was it. There were no other natives. There were no mixed people at all. So, you can see that as a mixed person, there was no real superheroes for me to look up to until Miguel O'Hara came out. By then, I was in high school, and I was damn near out of school. So, you have to weigh the pros and cons as a mixed person that we don't have a lot of people that represent us. Rock's big, Tiger's big. Most of the mixed women that are big, like Halle Berry, she rarely plays a mixed person. She's mixed, but she rarely plays a mixed person. Alright? You gotta go watch her movie. She rarely plays a mixed person, if she plays a mixed person at all. The thing with being mixed is most people, they play to the ethnic strength, which I will be doing my best to only play natives or mixed native people, because playing a mixed person in general just wasn't working for me, which is why I changed the name to Echo Fang Grey Wolf, so that I can do what I need to do and get this acting career off the ground. Now, as a mixed person, and as a person who's mostly looking native, we didn't have too many heroes that we can look up to. Apache Chief was probably one of the first. John Blackstar. And you have Marshall Bravestar. Marshall was his title. I don't think it was his first name. I think his first name might have been John too, but I'm not sure. And then you have John Thunder from Centurions. And you had Spirit, Charlie Iron Knife from G.I. Joe. So, you didn't have a lot of native heroes. You had some black heroes on G.I. Joe and other shows, but most of the demographic were white, were black. And so growing up mixed, you don't get to have that. And also growing up mixed, you go to bed mixed, you wake up mixed. Everyone who sees you, they point that out. And I'll do one more thing before I go. As a mixed child, we do not see our parents differently. If you have a white dad and a black mom, or a black dad and a white mom, you just see them as mom and dad. Same thing with your grandparents. You see them as your grandparents. You don't see color. Most kids don't know what color they are until some other kid points that shit out, which is why racism starts at home. You can see color. You can acknowledge somebody's race, but you don't have to be an asshole about it. That being said, I'm Echo Van Grey Wolf. This is Kung Fu Habit number 2. Be seeing.